Now, here's how I know that something big is coming for the Arizona Cardinals. Which is why, for me, if they go and spend a bunch of money on Milton Williams and they spend a bunch of money on Josh Sweat and they go get a defensive back and they go draft someone in the draft, all that is fine and dandy. Apologies, guys. Still getting over a cold just a little bit. Well, cold, flu, whatever. I think something big is coming for the Arizona Cardinals. And I think part of it has to do with the fact that this free agency class just isn't that great. And they know they need to make significant upgrades at the pass rushing position. You guys might not like it. You guys might think I'm doing too much. But on this show, I make big predictions. But I don't just make big predictions and big bold predictions, to get my clicks up. No, I don't really care about any of that. I'm reading the tea leaves. I'm out there and I'm thinking, okay, how does this fit with the Cardinals? I think the Arizona Cardinals are going to make a trade for one of two players. One of them I think is more likely than the other one, and you're going to be surprised which one I think it is. I believe by the end of free agency, Trey Hendrickson or Micah Parsons will be an Arizona Cardinal. And here's why I think that. You see what Benjamin Albright, who also reported on PHNX Cardinals, I watched that interview where he was talking about how the Cardinals are going to significantly improve their defensive line. And here's what Benjamin Albright said. I mentioned on PHNX Sports with Bo Brock and Johnny Venerable back at the Combine that the Arizona Cardinals were going to make a significant effort to upgrade their defensive line through free agency. Get ready. Well, that's interesting. Why would he say that? I don't know. Well, what about Mike Garafolo? Veteran defensive lineman Roy Robinson Harris, who was released by Seattle this week, is visiting the Cardinals today per source. Mike Garafolo. Arizona Cardinals are intent on upgrading their defensive line over the next week. I don't think Milton Williams and Josh Sweat fit the mold for those guys to be tweeting out there early that the Cardinals are about to make a significant upgrade to their team. I don't think that's it. I think they know something that they're not allowed to put out there just yet. That's how the world works. You're an NFL reporter. You got to play by the NFL free agency rules. You can't just tweet things out as soon as you get them. I work in this business. I understand how it works. If I find out, like Roch, right? I cover the Suns for Locked On Phoenix Suns. If I figure out Kevin Durant has got this is awful and terrible, and God forbid this ever happened, but let's say he's got another torn Achilles, and I know it before anyone. I can't just tweet that information out. I can position things like, I'm hearing not so great news from the Phoenix Suns locker room. The Cardinals are the same way. You could just tweet out who you think someone's going to go to. And from seeing Benjamin Albright's reporting and Mike Garafolo's reporting, I think the Arizona Cardinals are poised to make a massive deal. And I think that deal is of one or two players, Trey Hendrickson and Micah Parsons. One of those two guys will be a Cardinal. And the reasoning why I think it's Micah Parsons over Trey Hendrickson is this. Micah Parsons doesn't seem like the guy who's going to take less. And you see that Myles Garrett deal that's $40 million? I think Micah Parsons is going to want to end up getting a deal similar to that. And I don't care. I'd make it happen yesterday. And my whole point is, if you could either spend a second-round pick on Trey Hendrickson, give him $35 million a year, he's 30 years old, little bit potentially past his prime, potentially. We don't know that to be sure, but you could see the tread on the tires at 30. You go get Micah Parsons at 26, 27 years old, first-round pick, and pay him gobs of money. No one would be upset with you doing that and being aggressive. And when I'm seeing Benjamin Albright report that the Cardinals are going to make a big move, when I see Mike Garafolo report the Cardinals are intent on fixing their defensive line, that's what I see. I don't think the Cardinals have their eyes just set on Milton Williams or Josh Sweat, who they could absolutely lose out on. I think they see a guy like Micah Parsons. I think they see a guy like Trey Hendrickson, and they know that they're going to have to make a deal for one of those guys. And you talk about the Cowboys being kind of cheap with their contracts recently and making players wait out. I don't think Micah Parsons is going to want to play that game. I think he's going to want a deal, and I think there's a team out there that will give him that deal. Trey Hendrickson makes sense, and I wouldn't be upset with Trey Hendrickson. Maybe they want to be a little frugal, and I get that, honestly. Second-round pick, a third-round pick, and $32 million a year for 3 years. I get it. Maybe giving all that money to one player like Micah Parsons is a little much. But if you look at what Trey Hendrickson's going to get, and you look at what Micah Parsons is going to get, and you look at what each one is going to cost you, personally to me, that just is reading the tea leaves that I think Micah Parsons is absolutely going to be that guy. So I think if I'm going to make one bold prediction by the end of free agency, potentially by the end of this week, because free agency moves fast, man, I think it's that Micah Parsons ends up an Arizona Cardinal. On Saturday night when I was prepping for this show, I thought it was either between Myles Garrett, Trey Hendrickson, and Micah Parsons. Well, Myles Garrett obviously doesn't care about winning that much. Well, maybe he does, but $40 million is $40 million. So what are you going to do? Can't really blame the guy for that. But Micah Parsons, if I'm picking between two guys, Hendrickson and Micah, who I think will be an Arizona Cardinal, I think it's Micah Parsons. Not to say that Trey Hendrickson isn't that guy. And just to put it out there as well, I'm not a reporter. I don't want to be a reporter. I don't know something anymore that you don't know. Sometimes I'll hear things and through the grapevine because I know all these guys. All these guys are really good dudes. But people aren't just sharing that information. And in this instance, I don't know. And if I did know, I would tell you. But I don't like to get that kind of stuff wrong because it's not an opinion. At that point, you're just putting it out there as fact. This is all based on my opinion and all my thoughts. But one big free agency opinion, Micah Parsons is an Arizona Cardinal. I'm willing to die on it. I'm willing to make that stand. And I think one of those two guys, Trey Hendrickson, Micah Parsons, is an Arizona Cardinal. But if I'm laying it out there for all the reasons that I did, for all the positioning and posturing that Benjamin Albright and Mike Garafolo and other reporters are putting out there, I will take Micah Parsons as that guy to be the Arizona Cardinals' next big splash in free agency. So there it is.